refreshing to hear.
Yeah, he's going to also try to do like a little video clip with all the speakers so he can put it out there and stuff too. So he's trying to be helpful with it as well.
Good. Finally.
But if y'all say you're coming, then everybody will
come. Huh. I think you give us a little too much credit. You know what I will say? So last night we did eat one of New York strip or a strip steak we got from y'all not too long ago, and me, I like the fat. Tara didn't, they don't like it fat, but
yeah, I like
so I'd cut them in two to try and get them a little thinner, and some fat. So I took it and grilled it on the side with mine because I make mine a little more rare than theirs.
Yeah,
and I pulled that fat off and I was like, took a bite of it before I took it inside. I said, man, if this is going to be as good as and tender as this fat is, it's going to be a good. And it was good. It was really good.
Well, I was talking to Ray. No,
Render the fat, but eat it too.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
That's how we judge meat. Like, if the fat's good.
If the fat's good, we're good to roll.
That's right.
Yeah, our pork is like that. I could eat.
I'm still waiting on somebody to make me some kind of a lamb burger or something made out of lamb because.
Oh, sorry.
I need somebody to. I don't know anything about cooking lamb, and we sell it now. So I need a little help in that department.
Yeah,
easy.
Good recipes.
I've got recipes. Okay. I've got some great curry recipes for lamb. I've got some great roasting recipes for shoulder. Shoulder's your tricky cut because it's got all the muscle groups in it. I'll
video you cooking and all that.
Well, it's all watching. It's sitting in a crock pot.
Yeah.
You know what'll happen there.
Yeah, we could do that.
It's crock pot cooking.
Yeah.
But that's how to do shoulder is low and slow.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on something lamb from him. I've been hearing so much about it for the longest time. And
I'll bring you some next time since you can't get any from Simon.
So, no pressure.
We'll see. Actually, he's never made me fish and chips either.
Oh, me neither.
Oh, dear Lord.
He's not even invited us over, so whatever.
Well, we need to fix that, obviously. He did invite.
I know what he's doing. Other people
I know what he's
like
doing. He's hitting record already. He needs to catch me in some social blunder that I'm going to walk into. You know, I mean, because
you could at least find us for tea or
I know he's recording. I'm going to keep it clean, Billy. But I tell you what, my mind is in the gutter right now.
That sounds like a personal problem. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me is my captain of the North Seas. We'll get into that here in a second. Simon Winch. Simon, it's been a while since we've actually been here.
Yeah, we've been all over the place.
Yeah, it was, I think, 5 Points Music Sanctuary at the beginning of December, and we got 2 episodes out of that. We went up to the wood shop and got 2 episodes out of that. And then last week, of course, we were at Anastasia's. Yeah. So this is the first time in over a month, probably since before or right after Thanksgiving that we've.
Now we're back at the Tim Cost IRL studio.
There you go.
There we go. Did you like that?
I did. I loved that. Tim Cast it comes on at 9:00 every night. Big support of the show. Hopefully we're going to talk to some of those guys in DC. I'm sending out an invite here later this afternoon to remind them. Maybe if we just get one of the writers or 2, but the rest of the list is looking
formidable.
Yes. I mean, of course, we're going to have, Spike Cohen up there at DC. He's going to be back on the show with us. Former Congressman, I think, Joe Walsh and Justin Amash both. John Mackey, the founder of Whole Foods. So we can have some talks about that here. And hopefully this episode, we'll kind of touch those bases with him and a ton of other guys, some economists, some journalists. It's going to be a good opportunity. I'm getting ready to share. I know I meant to share it last week, but, got kind of bass backwards on it, but we're going to be sharing a link here to try and support that trip because we don't really go after sponsors because sponsors expect you to do or say things, and y'all know us, we like saying and doing what we want to, so we like to be as crowdsourced as possible so we can do that. And, you can either become a subscriber at patreon.com/getontap, where hopefully tonight, since we're back in here, maybe we can get a 20-minute like after show or something, depending on, how it goes. But at patreon.com/getontap, you become a subscriber, you get shows early, sometimes after shows, subscriber only content. We're starting to work out a little bit more because
some uncensored shows.
Some uncensored shows as well too. So you're going in here naughty words that you can probably hear on the regular shows too, but
they do sneak through that editing bleep, I must say,
There's no edit and bleep.
I'm trying to create something here. Billy.
Okay, well, I'm just, I'm saying I wish I had the time, effort, and energy to go back through and beep those words out. But look, you get what if you want me to go beep those out, what you can do is you and everybody you know go sign up at patreon.com/getontap. So I have the time to sit around and go back through these. I don't even listen to our show after I upload them. Rarely do I go back. I'm starting to do it now because I'm wanting to start to get these clips out here because I think that's the way to go. That's wherever people's minds are at a video, and we don't have video yet, so I can go back through. And so anyway, we can make this all possible. We can beep out at patreon.com/getontap, or you can make a one-time donation at Get On Tap for Venmo or Cash App. Both of those are going to be suitable here. Like when we share this link for our trip to DC, look, it's going to be helping us, our time up there, hotel, we've got food, we've got, video equipment, all kinds of things we're taking up there. And when we get in front of these people up here, they're going to be back into town because you can't hang out with us and not want to come do it again. And you're going to want to do it on our territory and our turf, not in some, hotel in downtown Washington, D.C. That's boring. Come down to the country.
In the Viper's Nest.
Exactly.
Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm. So, all those ways you can help us because we are what we are with the community. We're going up there to bring everybody. We want people to come back down here and spend money at the burger company, Rocky Mountain Burger Company, who's, one of our big partners. I'm hoping to have a show here in the next couple of weeks. Everybody just keep track on us. Keep track of us on Twitter too, because that's a better place actually these days, or X, whatever it's at now. But still on Facebook, keep on tabs. I'm hoping the next couple of weeks we'll get Nick Robertson back on here before he, back to spring training. I guess he's with the St. Louis Cardinals starting off the year. And what I'm hoping, we'll do it upstairs at the burger room, at the barrel room, at the burger house, Lordy. And maybe an hour and a half previously, kids can come up there, get your picture taken, get his autograph, bring your baseball, bring his cards. I would love to have done something like that when I was a kid. We didn't have anybody around here other than Ron, and, Ron his kid played for my team, so it really wasn't as, he was there always. So I never got Ron's autograph. I knew him for so long and never once. This is one of those deals where I was like, hey, I can get it whenever I want. It
happens.
But yeah, so hopefully we have Nick up at the bell room. And some other people can stick around and listen to the show, I guess, and eat some food and be merry and drink a couple beers, whatever the case may be. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, our partners being Libertarian, you can see some of our newest links, our newest videos over there, our newest clips of some of our show from last week, which was a good show. If you haven't listened to it, go back. We were at Anastasia's Speakeasy. Y'all been there yet? It's pretty wild. It's pretty neat. And Chip, being Libertarian, he was very, blown away by their bourbon selection.
Oh, he was. That's the first thing as he walked through the door, actually. He spotted that off the bat without prompting or anything.
Yeah.
So, he obviously has an eye for good whiskey.
Well, I mean, he is from around here. I guess it's in our nature. But being Libertarian, also Rocky Mountain Smokehouse down here, Buddy. He's a big supporter of ours. I haven't had a chance to go in here in the last couple of weeks. I've been missing that chicken sandwich, number 2 spicy, throw a little bit of bacon on it, get those French fries. I mean, their fries are so good these days, and it never, every time you go in there, I'm making myself hungry thinking about it now, but I'm hoping here when it warms up a little bit, we can go in there and do a couple outdoor shows. I'd like to do one at the Cruise Inn.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's custom made for a show up there, Cruise Inn.
Yeah, have people come in, I don't know much about cars though, I'm more of a A to B guy. But some people really, it's like an art for some people, and you can appreciate it. Instead of going to an art museum, the art museum comes to you. So you can just sit in there and drink a couple of beers and watch all these bad boys go by and revving up their motors and burning good old American diesel and gasoline
and rubber.
Yeah, and rubber, absolutely.
Marvelous.
So, so keep tabs on us. Once again, subscribe at patreon.com/getontap. At the end of the show, I'm hoping to get maybe a 20-minute or so after show. We can, maybe get one of these two to drop some curse words, but because you're gonna have to pay to hear it.
You're not going to hear a cuss word from Gayle or Thad.
I know. I was just kidding.
I can guarantee it.
We're also being joined today by our co-host who's going to be up in D.C. with us, Amos Denton. Amos, glad you could join us.
Yeah, good. Glad to see you here, Amos. What? Hang on. He's not wearing the cloak of invisibility, is he?
Well, he ain't really chiming in, so I guarantee if he was here, you'd be done hurt him by now. So we're not being.
Let me see. I've got no response.
I don't know.
He's missing in action.
He could be out in the field giving birth to a baby calf or something, or helping a cow give birth or something. He was talking about just that time of the year. Well, who knows with him?
Oh dear, here we go.
So after all we've had, we didn't get a chance to really talk about it. We're being joined once again. This is one of our Appalachian Farmer episodes by Gayle and Thad Montgomery, Melvins Farm to Fork. Y'all know them. It's been a while since we had them on here. We've had them on a couple of times here towards the end of last year, and they were some of the most listened to episodes. So we're glad to get y'all back in here and get people listening to us again. Really, we need that boost.
And if anyone did miss the comment that covers all the shows, the farming shows, Thad being, without question, the smartest man in the room.
Oh no, here we go again.
We'll dwindle down a bit now. So welcome back. Thank y'all.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been quite a while. There's quite a few things I want to dive into today, because I know y'all got this conference coming up here very soon. That's one thing we'll probably talk about first. There's a few other things have been happening here lately, and I want to kind of grill Simon a little bit about the North Sea. I don't know if y'all know much about that, but for some reason these videos have been popping up on my phone here lately, and I think it's something. Go look, because it's magnificent. The power. And I'm saying anything. I wonder if Simon's.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, perhaps we can. If you want to go through that subject matter a little later, I think I would like to hear updates of the store since when we last spoke. How numbers are looking. What's new? I know when I stuck my head through the door there, you were hammering and beavering away doing something with the refrigeration. There's all sorts of new exciting stuff that you guys have made. And I know we're looking at, what do we got here? This is, God's Good Table on the, April 19th to the 21st. You're having, what do we got? Let's walk me through it. Let's just take the mic and run with it.
Are you sure?
Go for it. I dare you.
Well, we are, thankful to be back. So thanks, you guys. And we are excited. There's been a lot of things happening in the past year. We've almost completed an expansion. If you look closely, you'll see a couple things that aren't finished, like some trim work, but those things happen as crops need to be planted and you roll into the spring of the year. So we kind of put the store renovation in addition on hold through the summer, and we're back and ready to finish things up. But we've added to the store, added storage, which is great. Built a walk-in freezer right there at the store. It saved a lot of time and energy. And we've added another room to the store and expanded our line of products. So I think we're about 42 vendors deep now. And
how are you coping with that? Because I believe that might be in my future coming up with Philip and Peak and Angles.
It's a big job. I spent a lot of time talking with customers, obviously, but spent a lot of time talking with vendors, the producers who are producing the food here in the county, and just making sure that we're doing it like we're supposed to do. And it's fun. It's a lot of work. There are days when I look at that and I think my hair probably sticking out in 20 directions, but we somehow at the end of the day, finish up, and there's always something to be thankful for when we walk out the store, whether it's a new customer or the ability to help somebody that's having, health issues and they're looking for a cleaner source of food. And so that's really what brought this conference about. We, a couple months ago in the fall, drove up to Polyface Farms, Joel Salatin's place in Swift, Virginia.
Heather's been to Joel Salatin's with
I've delivered
good old doctor from Turks and Caicos.
I've delivered up there to work for him. So if you can imagine going down that tight, narrow gravel road in an 18-wheeler and getting back across that little wooden bridge, it looks like a bunch of termites holding hands.
Oh no.
I've made it. I've done it. I've been back in there. That's how I found that place. I was like, what this? Got back in there and I was like, this is amazing.
It's a little bit crazy. We went up there and I had not been before, and you're right, tight, windy roads. And I thought, wow, some people think we live way off, but not really. So we saw the opportunity to go to the God-Given Food Conference a couple months ago and kind of were a little skeptical, didn't know what to expect, and decided that the early bird pricing was getting ready to wind up and we like to save a little money and, go. So we headed up there, and from the first speaker to the last speaker, we were just thankful to be there, thankful for the truth about what we should be eating, how that related scripturally, and just, it was a great opportunity. And so, you know,
came away inspired by the
I
looks of
came
things.
away really inspired.
That's
a lot
great.
of things we knew, but it was kind of confirmation for that, and just glad to be there. And I got ready to leave, and the lady who, she and her daughter, Maureen Diaz, and her daughter, Erin, are the founders of God's Good Table, who puts this event on at Polyface and now at our place. And I went up to the daughter, Erin, and I introduced myself, started chatting with her, and I don't know where Thad was. And I said, you know, I think this is kind of like something we'd be interested in hosting. People are hungry for this information. They want to know what to eat. They've been told so many contradictory things over the years, and we'd love to host something like this at our place. And she said, oh, I think you're the answer to prayer, because Joel Salatin, Polyface, isn't hosting events in 2024. He's going to take some time to do some speaking, which he's also excellent at. And so without telling my husband that I had put ourselves out there like that,
It was a command decision.
it was good. Yeah, I went back to him and I said, Dad, they're going to come drive down and meet with us and see if our place could work for this. And he said, okay. And yeah, here we are. A couple months in, we've got some tents rented, porta potties lined up, and expecting a great crowd for this event. It's a 3-day event, and our focus is a little bit different maybe than the one we attended at Polyface. We're going to spend most of the day on Friday. The speakers that are coming are going to spend time talking about prevention, like what do you eat to prevent certain things, diseases, cancers, that kind of thing. And then on Saturday, most of the speakers are going to be speaking to restoration. So what is it that you eat to recover yourself after you've spent years abusing your body with processed food? And then Sunday morning, we'll have a worship service, which will be a sweet time. So
Right on.
a lot of fun.
So you're touching on a subject that Heather's very into as well, is healing through food, and whether it's that homeopathy, and there's the essential oils as well that come into all of this. And I think, you know, looking back, this should have been where we should have never have left the path of nature-based healing.
Yeah, and we just don't know.
Well, I think we do. I think
we do now. We're starting to learn that, I think.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a generation of convenience. I remember getting a microwave in our home. I remember some of the meals that we ate sometimes. They weren't horrible meals. And I grew up on a farm too, but they certainly probably had a lot of processed
MSG.
things. Yeah, all that stuff that we're trying to avoid on labels now. And one of the things I'm excited about is that our conference is going to have a whole focus on mother babies, children. What do we eat before we conceive? What do we eat after we conceive and we're pregnant? And what do we feed our babies after we've had them? Because that's also gone off track. Our babies are ready to eat solid food. Let's give them some Cheerios or any other number of processed foods.
That was one of the funny things, actually, that because we brought Charlotte up in the Caribbean, there was the food choices are very limited. Well, they were certainly limited, not just about availability, but cost as well. And I remember doing this distinctly, was tasting some of the baby food. You know, here's peas and here's carrots. And you taste it and you kind of think, what on earth have I just put in my mouth?
It really tastes like those things, huh?
I was just like, no, we're not going to do this. So Heather took it upon herself that anything that we ate, she would liquidize and present that as, if it was liquidized carrots for Charlotte or peas or whatever it may be, everything was liquidized, but it was really from what we were cooking. And the transition when you go from baby food to solid food is where you encounter so many problems.
Sure.
Because you've gone from a baby food in a jar that doesn't taste anything like carrots or peas or roast chicken or whatever it may be. It bears no resemblance to the flavor profile.
Or does it smell like it?
And it's
Ugh.
yeah, I mean, I've got a gag reflex just thinking about it.
Sure.
So we would liquidize everything, and that transition from liquid food, well, from breast milk, number one, breastfeed your children. If you don't breastfeed your children, and I understand there's reasons why certain mothers can't breastfeed, but if you can, make the effort to do it. And the biggest reason, and I remember a statistic coming out that and I don't know how they attain this, but anyway, so it's a statistic. Take it for what it is. A child that has been breastfed will have 10 more IQ points.
Speaking of IQ points.
Oh dear, that was my phone as well. Shame on me. They will have 10, for the breastfed, their IQ will be 10 points higher than a non-breastfed child. And not to mention about all the immunity issues and the positives from breastfeeding. But that was one of the big takeaways. And the other one was that transition from baby food to solid food. And that's where you seem to get the biggest resistance from babies, because if you've tasted the baby food and they're expecting carrots, and then you give them carrots, they're going, this ain't carrots.
Right.
They go, no, I'm not having it. So what you're doing yourself a huge favor in that transition from liquidized food, hopefully not bought in a supermarket, to genuine real food.
Yeah. And we've got some top-notch speakers on slate for this event. Mandy Bloom is going to be our speaker who's not from Franklin County. She's going to be a new name to some people. If you already are on the road to recovery with what you feed your children, what you feed yourself, you may have heard about her on social media. We're carrying her book in the store. She's got a lot of valid points there. But we have so many experts in our own backyard. And I think that's what we are so excited about for this conference. Megan Sanctuary will be joining us. She has a really interesting story. Really started off wanting to go into the medical field and realized that maybe that wasn't as healing as it could be. And then she switched to nutrition and discovered that most of the time nutritionists are studying ingredients these days and not actual whole foods. And so she's kind of gone on a self journey that's been really neat, had to heal her husband and herself from a lot of gut issues, and now does an excellent job teaching. And so she has taught some classes at the store that people loved about nutritional healing. She's taught some raw milk baby formula classes that were really timely in the event of the pandemic and not having readily available formula for some folks.
Goat milk.
Right. And so...
Sorry, did I say that? Unpasteurized goat milk? I didn't say that.
It's okay. You can say it. And so she's going to be one of our speakers. And I know Saturday, Daniel Austin, who is a local grain farmer here in Franklin County.
He's been on the show.
He's been on the show.
Yeah, go back and listen. It was our most recent Appalachian Farmer. I think it was called Appalachian Farmer Next Generation or something. It was.
So we're Chase and
we had
Daniel.
Yeah, incredibly smart. We probably should have restructured the show a little bit around him because I really didn't know what to expect. Very I'd like to sit him and Thad down together and turn off everybody else's mics and just let them go back. Maybe throw in Amos every now and then, just for comic relief.
He's got a lot to share with everybody. He's a fantastic speaker, and he's going to be a great addition to our conference. And then Dr. Hussey, who is part of the Trochim Chiropractic Clinic. He's actually over in their Daleville office now, running that. He's going to be a part of our conference, and Karen Winstead, who is at New Life Birth Center over across the street from here, actually.
She has also been a guest on this show. Go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Because I had her on not long after. And that's a cool part of the conference I want to emphasize is Karen was great, right? Okay, so, I think we ended up paying $5,000, and which would have been right at our deductible anyway. And a lot of the times, if you work it right, you could probably find a way for your insurance to cover back. But if you're, some of your costs, but if you're going to have a baby, for the health of your baby and for the health of Tara, 2 kids, the first one run at Memorial, second one across the street. They kept Claire there an extra 3.5 days unnecessarily. Benjamin, we were home in 6 hours. And the best part about it was, she was pregnant with Benji through the worst parts of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And, that's when everybody was, trying to pressure you into going and getting that snake bite that nobody had any, idea what was really in there. And I was like, absolutely not with my child. We were ready to lose jobs, everything we had to do. But the best thing about going over there is Karen was not into any of that stuff. Like, she is there for you. If you wanted to be into that, you can be into that. If you didn't want to be into that, you don't have to be into it. So for that time period when there were so many other people running around pressuring mothers who were pregnant to doing ungodly things, that you weren't getting that over there. So it's the best place to do it in the best of circumstances, just for the simple health of and you can speak to this probably much better than I can, because
we had multiple hospital births and chose to go with Karen for Eli's birth, and had a happy 10-pound baby over there with no problems. Went home a couple hours later, and it was a fantastic experience over there.
I told my wife it was kind of like almost a bed and breakfast. I was like, I wonder if I could just get some biscuits and gravy. Hey, now, my wife wouldn't want to hear that at the time, but, I was trying to lighten the mood.
Sure, I bet. Yeah.
Well done, Billy.
One of my girlfriends actually dropped off some blueberry scones from the Whole Bean that morning after I had Eli.
I'm going to congratulate you right now. There are 2 ways of now enunciating the scone.
Okay.
You did the right way.
Well, I'm so glad.
So you said scone.
Uh-huh. Are you glad?
I'd be absolutely delighted, because if you'd have said scone, I would have had to.
I've never heard anybody pronounce it like that ever.
Oh my God. Yeah, trust me.
Never. I've never
Trust
heard anybody
me,
say
it's
scone.
one of those things. And I say it's a scone, and they'll say, "Oh, I've said it all my life. It's a scone." How do you say stone?
Scone.
I rest my case.
Yeah, so Karen's on our line.
It's my language.
Yeah.
We are excited to have her. She's going to talk about natural births. She's going to talk about nutrition, preconception all the way through postpartum, which is fantastic. There's a lot of information that she's going to bring to the event. Dr. Hussey again, Megan Sanctuary, Daniel Austin, Karen. So just a dynamic lineup for that weekend. And it's right here in your backyard. Like, you don't
a lot of information.
You don't have to travel for this, because I think a lot of people are, we've talked about this in the past. We don't even know what to eat anymore because we've been fed so much misinformation. And so at what point do we say, okay, well, gosh, can I eat eggs? Is red meat okay? And we've got all these questions because we've been told so many things over the past couple years.
Well, we've been in, to me, it's a propaganda war. And it has to be, because when you see so many different studies that are being done by these universities, that suddenly they manage to make the corporate media lots, and they've had a new study that has found that butter is actually good for you.
Yeah, it is.
And, well, of course it is.
It is.
But
on your scone.
On my scone.
But it has to be butter now. None of that margarine crap. You have to know what you're getting.
Don't do margarine, for goodness sake. Oh, that muck. No. Butter, thank you very much.
I mean, I can't believe it's not butter with that English prick pulling up in his Rolls Royce, that old commercial.
There's another butter ad back from the UK, and it was with a West Country accent, so I'm going to butcher this. But anyway, you'll never put a better bit of butter on your knife. And that was the big thing about butter and the dairy industry protecting its industry from, is it unsaturated, saturated? I don't know what the hell it is, the margarine muck.
Well, didn't Crisco come from, like, they were using it for some kind of lubricant or something for machines? And
more than likely.
And then next thing you know, it was the most pressed and pushed thing of the 70s and the 80s, pretty much. Isn't that the misinformation that we're dealing with now? It's so pervasive that you really don't know whether you're on your backside or on your elbow.
And
that was I corrected myself there when you said something.
But sometimes it's not even misinformation. We just expect to go into the grocery store and be able to buy safe foods. It's the expectation that we have as Americans. Okay, there's an FDA, there's a USDA. Shouldn't we be able to walk into the grocery store and select items off the shelf and feel good about feeding our family those items? And that's not the case. If
No,
you study
absolutely the opposite.
if you study other countries and you see the things that are banned in other countries, shouldn't you ask yourself why
aren't they banned here
in America?
Oh, because the lobbyist is a better lobbyist in DC.
Well, I was going through. I was listening to one of
Thad,
our.
I know you're going to.
I was going to bring
Shy to
Thad.
speak.
again.
I feel like
I wanted to bring Thad into this because earlier I was listening, and this is something good to talk about right now because hopefully you all saw a little bit about this. But here in the last week, there was a farmer in Pennsylvania who's a big raw milk guy who was just recently raided.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a bit more than that.
Well,
yeah.
We'll go into that. I want to let y'all explain to everybody because I just saw pieces and parts of it and I didn't get a chance to take a deep dive. I'm sure you all probably looked a little bit more into it, but I started going back to our old show and listening, and I was trying to find a clip that I could pull up real quick and then kind of promote it. I just didn't have the time to do it. But one of the things that I'd saved it was they were going right into talking about, this whole raw milk deal and some of the things you were saying about it, about how the regulations work and different states have different, and then of course this thing. So somebody help me out. What happened to this guy? Can somebody give a brief synopsis of him and what happened to him? Do y'all know?
Do you know the dude?
Well, I know who he is. I've read some publications about him and his skirmishes with the feds.
I don't think he was. I don't think he's wrong at all in doing the practices that he is conducting. But I don't think he has made himself a friend of the entities that are looking to shut him down. So if he's had any opportunities, I think to, abide by the regulations that they're asking him to abide by, I think he's pretty much said no.
Yeah, my understanding is that, and I may be incorrect, but by my reading, and I don't know what has happened this time because I haven't read really, I haven't followed it or know anything about what occurred. Just
I think the
3 days ago.
think the strong arm of the FDA and the USDA, and overreach of these entities.
Well, what he was doing was he had, and I don't know whether it's a membership or it's like a club.
Yep.
It's like a buying club, and so people pay to be part of this club, and then they get part of everything that he sells. It's kind of like a CSA.
It is a
except
CSA.
Except it's about animals instead of produce. And where he got crossed up is the fact that he was butchering cows on the farm, and it was not an inspected facility, and it was not approved, and so they had some issues with that. And that I think that, part of that comes to what Gayle was just talking about is our expectation of safety in this country. We go to a convenience store, we have an expectation of safety. We expect that everything that's there has been, it has a stamp on it. It's approved. It's safe for us to consume. And what we really don't know is the background on that. What when they say they researched it, who researched it, and what was their motivation?
Who was paying for the research?
That's right.
Because the research will always fit and whoever's paying, and the results of whatever they're looking for, strangely enough, will always suit the person that paid for the statistical study of whatever it was.
Right, and so
it's very cynical.
And we go, and I don't want to get too far off in the weeds here, but we go back to the idea that the United States, under the constitutional republic that we are,
I'm glad you said constitutional republic and not democracy.
Yeah, does not have the authority to have a Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture should not exist, along with a lot of other departments, because those
Department of Education,
those authorities belong to the states, because the states have a vested interest in their people being healthy and educated and all the other things, and the federal government, corrupts that by the fact that they do the things they do by making a
you've got
food pyramid to begin with, and then it become a food plate.
Yeah,
and it's those things are they pick winners and losers, and they said, well, the research at this point, and again, it's back to who's research and what kind of research are they doing. The research says that we can't be eating fat, and so then for 50 years we've kind of began to avoid fat, and it's come to the point now where children are almost not exposed to fat at all. You talked about breast milk at the beginning here. And so the children are put on soy-based formulas. and this is not fat that can be consumed by us, and our body doesn't know what to do with it. Not only that, but it does not the fat in breast milk, just like the fat that's in cow's milk or goat's milk, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
it helps us, our bodies, dissolve the vitamins and minerals that are naturally occurring in those products.
In fact, the human digestive system is far more receptive to goat milk than cow milk. And then you go through the pasteurization process and what they take out, and then go to put it back in through pasteurization is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Well,
and like you say, your point is a very strong point, and I don't want that to get missed.
Well,
and it's federal law versus state law, and the feds have no business, quite frankly, in probably 90% of the areas that they are able to flex their financial muscle into, and that's what it is.
Right.
Well, for reference here, I'm going to let everybody know, if you want to go look this up for yourself, this is in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and it's called the Miller's Organic Farm. I'm going to read just this little excerpt real quick because I want to ask you all about this and see your thoughts about it. But this is from Jared Weaver, I guess, ABC 27. Lancaster County Farm is under investigation in connection to out-of-state reported foodborne illness, according to the state's Department of Agriculture. Pennsylvania State Department of Ag officials and state police were at Miller's Organic Farm located at blah, blah, blah in Bird in Hand, serving a search warrant Thursday. The Department of Agriculture says investigators were looking for illegal raw milk and products like eggnog at the farm. Okay, two things. First is a statement. Jeffrey Epstein has a list as long as a dictionary of people out there who are doing terrible, horrible, and awful things to children. Somebody is in jail for trafficking these children to these monsters, and not one person has been locked up, not one name has been released. But you all have time to go focus on eggnog in a Pennsylvania farm. That's my statement. My question is, okay, it says it's a foodborne illness that was connected to it. Understandably so. If something has been linked, you should go and investigate it and look it up and see where it comes from. How many times has Walmart or Food Line or Kroger or all of these places or McDonald's or Wendy's sent out some food that got a crap ton of people sick? How many times did the feds come and raid their property with cameras there, showing up like it was a swatting? When does that happen?
It doesn't. Of course it doesn't, because then you get this, recall. And now, oh, well, because we've had this nationwide recall of this batch number of whatever lettuces that have been pulled from a field because you don't have, porta potties for the immigrant, workforce that are picking these. So unfortunately, they just go and do their business in the field because, it's all about time and money. We know the game. We know the game. And picking on an innocent who's just trying to make a living, quite frankly, there's a better way of doing business. And harassing this guy with a massive police presence, probably with drawn guns, from a federal department that has no business in policing this to start with, quite frankly, is disgusting. I'm highly offended by it, but there we go. That's just me.
So the fact that there was a foodborne illness is the problem here. And so how do we come to the conclusion that we have a foodborne illness?
Well, allegedly, that's what they're alleging now. You have to take the word of federal agents who, let's be honest.
Right. But what happens is when someone goes and they have food poison from whatever, and the doctor asks them a bunch of questions when they go to the emergency room. And so when they say they've consumed raw milk because they have a herd share or they have, a club membership or, whatever, or they have their own cow, the doctor quits asking questions because that's the culprit. It doesn't matter that they went to Uncle Frankie's 2 days before and had raw hot dogs that weren't really cooked.
Or potato salad that sat out.
Or potato salad that was handled with the raw chicken.
Cross-infected, raw and
that doesn't matter. So the fact that there was an alleged foodborne illness is a problem. So, to me, if the feds are going to come out and do something like that, can't be no alleged nothing. You have got to have concrete evidence that this is what it is, and you do that because you have to have a sample of the product.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, you also have to have the results of the test from the person who is allegedly sick, and so you can match that up with the product.
It's hearsay.
See if they're the same. Yeah, it's
hearsay.
That's right.
And
and so the problem, not to interrupt, but the problem is the medical profession. The medical profession has been trained the wrong things. They've been taught the wrong things.
Well, they've done that since Rockefeller. Oops. Did I say that one out loud? I think I might have done. Did I? Oh, sorry.
Maybe Billy has time to edit it.
No, that's okay. He realizes I don't care if I drop a clang. It doesn't matter. I don't care. That is a tragedy, and that's also investigative reporting that's gone down the toilet. So, they've been allowed to report this and lay blame.
Right.
And get away with it.
Well, the most interesting part of the whole article to me is the fact that it says illegal raw milk, because in the state of Pennsylvania,
it's not illegal.
It is legal.
It is and that's the funny thing. And the fact that they're calling it illegal, because that was one of my arguments here, when it comes to goat milk or any unpasteurized milk products from whatever animal you're getting it from.
Mm-hmm.
I had an issue with that because it has to be pasteurized in Virginia for sale, but it doesn't in Pennsylvania. So that whole press angle is 100% incorrect to start with.
That's right.
But it does beg the question, if it's good for Pennsylvania to have unpasteurized milk for sale, why isn't it good for Virginia to have and that is a states' rights issue there. It's not a federal issue.
Yeah, we run into that all the time because we partner up with Sweeland Farm for raw milk herd shears, which herd shears are legal in the state of Virginia. And we have questions about that on a regular basis.
Well, that's a workaround. So if a workaround is legal and your adjacent state that we, basically border up to has got a different... No.
Well,
this doesn't make sense.
The herd share is not really an accepted legal agreement. Virginia has just never chosen to do anything about it because they know they would lose. Because the herd share contract is no different than your yard mowing contract, or your cable contract, or your internet contract. It's no different. So if someone doesn't perform what's written in the contract, then the remedy is in the courts.
Right.
So you don't need legislation to control this. Now, my own opinion about it is that raw milk shouldn't necessarily be legal in the state of Virginia.
There is an argument. There is a counter argument.
Well, Simon, what happens when government begins to control things? How's the quality going there?
Down the toilet.
Okay, there you go.
Just saying. So if the government lays their hands or has any comment on any facet of our lives, I go, hell no. Because I reject it on grounds of historical precedent. They have failed.
Yeah.
Just about on every single element that they have participated in to make profit. They do not make profit. They suck it up.
Yeah, the capitalist mentality in the herd share arrangement right now is the competition is for quality and safety. Okay? Because that's what you do in order to make it work. Now, when you legalize raw milk, the customer has expectation of safety when he's driving down the road and he stops in a convenience store and he buys a jug of milk and he starts to drink it. He may not even look at the label. The state's going to require you to put a label on there. He may not look at the label because he has an expectation. And so the person who provides that expectation of safety is the state. The state sets a regulation, and that becomes the maximum.
Yes.
So everybody then the competition is for cost. This is what it requires for us to sell this raw product, and we're going to all race to the bottom because we want to get it as cheap as possible so we can put it in the store cheaper than anybody else so we can have more customers. And so you have a race to the bottom, and no longer is the capitalist system working to increase the quality and the safety, we're going in the opposite direction because the state has got involved.
Well,
there's my argument.
Well, that's funny because that's the exact point you made in the show I pulled up over a year ago. We were talking about raw milk, and you said that's why. You said because and you use this, the same example. That's how he's thought about it quite a bit, and he ain't full of it, and I think that's I think that makes sense. The thing that I believe most people are irritated with is, you talk about a convenience store. Yes, I think there should be an expectation. You're coming up on the side of the road.
Who buys sushi from a gas station, right?
You'd be surprised.
Oh, I know they do because
surprised.
sushi's for sale in a gas station. So someone's buying it.
But they will still come and kick in your doors if, say, hypothetically, I bought some raw milk from, and I think that's where a lot of people have the problem. It's like, okay, if you're going to be sold on a commercial level, yeah, there's definitely a level of expectation. But if I decide to make a purchase from somebody in our own agreement, that's not they have no say so in that whatsoever. And I think that's where the split comes. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but that doesn't get the producer off the hook, right? So when it comes to milk, a perishable item, I want to know when that was drawn from the cow. Then if it was drawn from the cow, I know it may take 1 or 2 days to get into a bottle. And then it may take 1 or 2 days through logistics to get into a store. Why are we buying milk from California? Give me strength. So I understand that. But as a purchaser, I always look at the date on the milk jugs that are in the store. I'll look at them and I'll take that one because it's got, the days that work to my advantage. You want that with eggs. Perishable items is really a purchaser is going to make that decision as to whether I'm going to get it reduced because the chicken now is at a sell by date in the big box store. I'll get the reduced price because I can freeze it. Okay. It looks okay, but you're still taking on information as a purchaser. So really it's your choice. Now, so long as you're given correct information, you can make an informed decision, right? Okay. Sure. There's so much over-regulation in the food industry. There's so much corruption in the food industry. But I'd like to figure out how, and this is a question to you both, and I'm very intrigued because I can't find an answer, a definitive answer to the question. With local producers, your beef farmers, mm-hmm. You have, you're from the birth of the calf to 18 months and it's got to 1,200 pounds. Everything that's gone into that animal, whether that's medication, feed, the cost of medication, the cost of feed. You can figure out where your break-even point is to get to 1,200 pounds in 18 months. And the other thing that adds into that will be, it's going to go off to a USDA certified abattoir slaughterhouse, and then it's going to come back to you in package form. And that's really the only other overhead you've got to consider if you're selling it retail. Mm-hmm. How is the disparity? Because I'm struggling to see. I've got one additional step. And if you can put yourselves in the shoes of, if you're not the cattle producer that you're buying from a third party. I'm going to buy that steer. It's going to go to KC Farms on that date. I'll pick it up 2 weeks later. Everything's packaged. The price per pound that you can put against that compared to big box store prices and the number of brokers and auctioneer fees and logistic fees and transportation fees that they have to deal with, how are they still able to undercut the local producer by significant margins? And is this down to subsidies paid to big ag through the big beef producers? How's it happening where the small producer cannot compete with a big box store on their, let's say, their Angus beef, the best they've got? It looks beautiful. It's marbled. It looks fantastic. It's $16.99 a pound for sirloin tip or whatever it may be, prime rib, whatever it is. I just don't see the local producer, if we're looking to support the local producer, how can they compete against that pricing? Because it's, even though they're dealing with less entities and middlemen and brokerage fees, and their feed costs, if they're like for like, they still aren't able to compete. How is that happening?
Well, you have to realize that, again, we're here because y'all invited us here because we're having the God-given food conference, and food is medicine. So
yes, absolutely.
The idea is that you can't compete.
That's what I'm seeing.
The commodity market, no matter what you're selling, is always going to be cheaper. And as you grow from raising three cows on your 5 acres to, raising 35 cows on 100 acres, you cannot sell all that. And so it's easier for you to put it on a truck and send it to the commodity market. And now if you watch the markets and follow that pretty closely, you can sometimes do okay with that. However, it's cheapness rules the day.
This is the addiction we were talking.
Yeah, and so the only way you can differentiate as a local producer is you have to begin to understand how not only is fresh better, because it is better, but the method you use to raise this animal is of utmost importance.
Well, I think you have to emphasize the fact that when you buy local, when you buy food that's not processed, when you buy food that's coming from people that it's an investment in your health as well, because you're saving yourself a buku's amount of money, at the end of your life on healthcare expenses, probably for one, and probably even on expenses right now. Like we don't, one thing another. I was listening back to last episode, and Thad had touched on commodities or whatever, and how that affects things, and how, in the 80s, the price of milk has stayed essentially the same as it has since then. I forgot the reference you were using, but you had said that healthcare used to be, maybe $85 a month for a family of 4 is now $8,500 a month for a family of 4, but the price of milk has kind of essentially stayed the same. So you got to think.
Well, that's subsidy. That's where the level playing field is definitely tilted against the smaller producer, and they're not being offered the playing field, whether that's through bureaucracy or just sheer numbers.
But you're also, though, you're staying healthy. Like when you're eating non-GMO, pesticides just in your vegetables and fruits, but you're also no steroids into your cattle, none of that. Now, I have seen that they want to start giving cows some type of seaweed stuff to make them stop farting so much. Have y'all heard anything like this? Mm-hmm. Have they approached y'all about things like that?
No.
Because we're in a twilight zone. We're starting to talk about like putting vaccinations for COVID into cows and stuff. I know that's a thing that I've read about. It's getting absolutely absurd. So, regardless of the price, because the price isn't that much different. And I think that's how you beat it. Because the price, it might be I know Gayle's itching to go over here and jump in. The price really isn't that much greater. And from my experiences, when grill a pound of burger from the store and grill a pound of burger from Melvins Farm to Fork, and you're going to get probably 65% of what you started with in the store, and with Gayle's, you're going to about 98%. So you're making up your money right there, and that's not counting the health. There's
a subtlety.
She's going to smack you.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm gonna let you jump on this as well. There is a subtlety as well. You need to educate yourself about if something in the store is labeled ground beef or something in the store is labeled burger meat, you better know the difference between the two. And as with regards to this is an education that I think we all need to put forward, particularly when you see all these frozen burgers coming in. You've got to be very, very careful about that. What you're putting on the plate there, right? You've got your frozen burger, you snap it on the grill from frozen. Bingo, you've got a 3-ounce bun, and it all looks good, right? until 17.5% of that burger that you were cooking just happens to evaporate because it's saline. It's been injected by as much as 17.5% of a saline solution. So when you're cooking your burger and you think that looks like a burger will fit on a 3-ounce bun, but when you finish cooking it, it only fits on a 2-ounce bun. And what your quarter pounder was when you put it on the grill is certainly not a quarter pounder when you put it on the pie or on the bun or in your pie hole. So you are seeing a significant manipulation in the price per pound that you're paying for a 17.5% weight induced saline product that will vanish upon cooking, that you pay $10 a pound for, $10 a pound for water. I don't know. Does that just say mug or what? But if you don't know that, you don't know it. So when you're buying from the likes of Melvins Farm to Fork, or hopefully the scrupulous, not unscrupulous, meat processors that may or may not have an injection license, that may or may not inject their products with a saline solution that could be as much as 17.5%. Think how that reflects in weight and price per pound. But Gayle, over to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of passionate about this because I talk about this with our customers on a regular basis.
We have to educate everyone.
Absolutely. And so sometimes you have people who understand the value of what they're eating, and sometimes you have people who have been to Walmart and they've gotten their ground beef or their whatever.
Burger meat. Well,
burger meat.
Buy burger meat, don't buy ground beef.
Right. So for a long time, they purchased it there. But the problem is that our thinking, it's kind of stinking thinking. And in America, we idolize cheap food. We wear it as a badge of honor.
We're addicted to cheap food. It's been an addiction run.
We call our girlfriends up and we're like, oh my gosh, chicken's 59 cents a pound. And really what we need to do is revert to a childlike mentality and start asking why.
Why is it that? Yeah.
Why is it that cheap?
Why is spiral ham being sold at 99 cents a pound?
That's right.
When Virginia ham is $10 a pound.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's losing money when you're buying it for 99 cents a pound? Because it's kind of shameful, honestly. And if we invest our money here in our county with our local producers, we're driving the economy. The money keeps being spent here in Franklin County. We've talked about this before.
The GDP. That's right.
Right. We talked about this before. But the other thing that I think about a lot, like even today, I was having a conversation with our vet. He stopped by to look at some animals and stuff. And he was talking about, going out to the store and buying meat. And when you get gristle in your meat, do you know what gristle is? And some people are like, oh yeah, that's fat. And no, it's actually an injection site on the animal. That's what that is. So do we know that information? No, we don't know that information. We're just cut around that part. How do you do it?
I think I just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, that's gross, and we just don't even think about it. But what we also don't know is that last year, Big Pharma made $1.7 trillion. And when you think of that number, it's startling. So to me, a number like that indicates that instead of looking for cures, they're looking to keep customers. And so we can use food as medicine. We can pay for the food on the front end and have healthy bodies, or we can pay for it on the back end and give all our money to the medical field. And you have choices. Like we all have choices.
Well, how much?
You did very wisely, by the way, to sit next to me, because that topic alone would have had, normal circumstances, a dreadful reaction from me. That
she's absolutely right. If you think about it, and to turn it towards maybe another, not topic, but another example, how much money in your lifetime, I couldn't even estimate, do you think has gone into cancer research? Oh, trillions probably at this point in time, right? We are no closer, according to them, we are no closer today to finding a cure for cancer than we were 25 years ago. And in fact, and if you want to do this locally right now, drive down to Roanoke, Virginia. The Carilion Hospital is building a major cancer center. Now, if they had any anticipation of us finding a cure anytime soon, they wouldn't be adding this massively big wing over here for cancer. Now, when you're away from the cancer stuff, I've talked to people before. I've talked to a guy that I've delivered with before with my job. Me and him have had this conversation. he got diagnosed with cancer. And he told me, he said he went to the doctor's office, and they started the first round of chemo. When he walked out of the door of chemo, the doctor handed him a sticky bun and a Coca-Cola. And he sat there and thought to himself, he's like,
"You kidding me?
This is probably the crap that gave me cancer in the first place." And I walk out of here, this radiation. He said the next thing he did was looked up this organic treatment or whatever done in Mexico. He went down there. They put him on a strictly nothing but like organic vegetable greens diet for 5 to 6 months, and boom, never come back. So they're looking for sick people. The cancer industry tells you, one, there's not a cure for cancer. Maybe there is, but the cure is preventing it in the first place. And how do you prevent it in the first place? Well, maybe start looking at the things that you're putting into your body every single day. And you can start by going down and talking to Gayle and Thad at Melvins Farm before. When you go in there, I love taking Claire down there because Claire gets asked a bunch of questions. And the older she gets, the more questions she's going to ask, it's going to be more intelligent. And she goes in there and she talks to all the other customers and probably convinces them and myself to buy a lot more than I anticipated on getting in the first place. Yeah. Every time. But, you go
Great
in there
customer,
and she's going to explain to you every item in the store, and no matter, there's such a selection as well.
Well, our lacking has always been in food education.
Yeah, because when we were growing up, it was the food pyramid, which was completely bunk.
Well, when you, I remember this, I just thought, I was so shocked. I think my eldest daughter was going through home economics. What are they? Is that the same thing here?
I think they call it consumer sciences now.
Oh, consumer science. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, man, that nearly sent me down a tangent. I'm glad you're sat next to me, Gayle, because you are a controlling influence that I'm very intimidated by. So I'm keeping a lid on my sailor potty mouth.
Mm.
But she was going through, we're going to be cooking such and such tomorrow, and this is our nutrition. And I said, oh, this is fantastic. So what is it you're going to be doing? Oh, we're going to be making mac and cheese. I went, oh, please.
Mm.
And that's coming from your high school, right? So, and I can't even get on that subject because I have to behave myself sat next to Gayle. So we'll just move around that subject rapidly, knowing, and I'm sure everyone that's listening has seen my performances at the school board on a number of occasions. I do want to appreciate the sheriff's deputy for actually not arresting me.
Moving on.
And moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly
I got to move on because that subject matter is to me, that's criminal. If you cannot educate your kids, or the school can't you're caught in a trap, actually, because the economics and the poverty that we're now seeing under this current environment, and it's I'm not going to lay blame anywhere. They're all at fault. We're now seeing people having to make bad food choices because financially they can't afford to do anything else.
However,
but I'd like to hear your counter on that. Yes, you can.
In the current climate of the grocery store, the prices just are not really different anymore.
Oh, no.
I mean, I get a few things sometimes. We buy no meat at the grocery store, no eggs, no milk.
Neither do
I don't
we.
need to buy any of that stuff. That's
Right.
nice. But I go to the meat counter on purpose and I look at the expensive stuff in the butcher's case just to see, like, I'm interested.
I take pictures.
Yeah.
I'm that twisted.
Yeah. I lose that if he goes with me in the grocery store because he's out researching all the things and he's discovering, oh, gosh, yeah, that's about the same thing we're charging.
We can, I think, get close to competing. It's always going to be a little bit more expensive. I hate to say that and shatter that dream
Well,
of.
I don't know. There was a time that store-bought eggs, the ritzy ones, were still more than what I charged at our store for great eggs that came from the chicken yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the
Think of
prices
the
are
lifespan
very
of those.
close right now. So if there was ever a time to strike,
Well, meat
and by meat
is
strike,
always, protein is always the problem.
I mean, start finding these local spots, start finding these local shares. And, there's plenty of people in Franklin County right now just for us. And this goes beyond Franklin County. This goes to everybody that's listening to us in your own county. You know, if you and 5 buddies go find, you know, a farm share somewhere close to you, and then you tell 5 of your other buddies somewhere maybe on the other side of their county, you can really put a dent into these big box stores, right? Because they're all starting to scale back quite a bit for multiple reasons. And now is your opportunity to jump on it, but you've got to go out there and let people know, hey, these people do exist. If, you know, we're going to DC in a couple weeks, we're getting in front of a bunch of people that have massive influence and spend a lot of time in concrete jungles. We're trying to convince them to come down here, hang out for a couple of days. Now, if you come out, you know, to Franklin County, and obviously you can come on our show and hang out with us and shoot cannons, because what else are you going to do? But,
because we've got them.
But exactly. But in your other couple of days while you're here and you're fitting in, maybe floating a river, riding some 4-wheelers or something. So you want to take a trip down towards, you know, the Lake Burnt Chimney section of our county. You want to spend a little bit of time. Well, you drive down there. What do you do? Well, maybe I go down to the bridge and get a bit of lunch at the pizza joint and get to oversee the water and grab a drink or something. But on my way back into Rocky Mount, where I'm staying at, you know, the Early Inn or the Morris Hotel, I stop there in Burnt Chimney. What do I do in Burnt Chimney? Well, shoot. You know, we swing by the Boone's Country Store and get a couple things, you know, for our rooms so we can make some sandwiches or deli meat or a couple souvenirs. And, we swing by Melvins Farm to Fort. Maybe that's where we get some of our beef and our meat. And on the way out, we go back by the Homestead Creamery and we get ourselves an ice cream. You know what I mean? There is so much to be had. We've just got to push it right now, because if people can be educated, as you said, into what we have, and we have your, look, make it an afternoon. I do it very frequently. Like once a month or so, I'll volunteer to go pick up my niece. And in the process, Claire and I will drive down. We'll go to the store. I'll let her walk around, and we'll go pick up my niece, come back, get them both ice cream at the cream. You know, like all this can be had. It's right there. It's
again, you hit the nail on the head there, Billy. And it really is about educating the general public into a different way that they need to look at providing food. Now, when you've got good quality food, it satiates you so much better than the garbage food that may be full of 17.5% saline that you've just been conned for paying top dollar per pound for. You know, they may say, oh, well, there's no antibiotics in there. There's no growth hormones in there. But the conditions that animal was brought up in, quite frankly, you would be appalled by. So I think the more that we see these farm to table, farm to fork, farmers markets, I think we all need to embrace these and figure out within our budgets that is becoming significantly smaller, with disposable income.
Well, planning. Make a plan. Say, okay, one Saturday a month.
Yeah.
We're going to jump in the car. We're going to wake up. We're going to we're going to make that trip. We're going to go to Boone's Country Store. We're going to get enough bread, because I love their bread. Take that bread and freeze it. Get your meat from Gayle and freeze it. Go down to the Homestead Creamery. They've got a plethora of things in there as well, with jellies, jams, things of that nature. Get you some ice cream. Freeze it. Like once a month. You can go down there and get all of your essentials in those 3 places. You can also see some beautiful country land, farmland, and Gayle's going to talk to you.
Well, you're developing a relationship. You're developing a relationship.
You're developing relationships
with a farmer. And these are the relationships, I think, that you know, and historically, Franklin County is a farming, industrial area, and we should all have, if we don't already, have relationships with our local farmers. And when you establish that, I tell you what, I think you've cracked the nut. You may not know that you've cracked the nut, but you've cracked the nut. And this is how I think we need to develop these relationships, and making sensible food choices, using some of the homeopathic. I mean, I'd love to have a big apothecary store here, you know, with all of these healing herbs, spices, scents, oils. They work. Elderberry syrup with clove in it, let me tell you, is going to fend off the devil. And it's not a pharmaceutical product made from, dare I say it, oil. Sorry, Mr. Rockefeller, I just blew your cover.
Well, back to the thing of food is medicine, you know, I mean, as we began to learn the things, and I'm a soul freak, okay, if y'all hadn't picked up on that, but so God, our God, the Lord in heaven, He's a creator God, and He doesn't desire to kill anything. You know, that's our sin that does that. So with that being said, everything is revolved around the sun because the sun creates all the energy. And so when we have a debate about climate change, it's really about energy.
Yep.
So you know, regardless of whether you want to talk about fossil fuels or whatever, we want to stop energy use, and so that right there is a killer of the human species. But before I get too off on a tangent here,
I know the tangent.
Going to fire Simon up over here. The idea of food as medicine is when we begin to understand plant and animal physiology. You know, we begin to understand the relationships that are inside these animals at the cellular level that allows us to be able to heal ourselves with natural means. And so what I say by that is, and my wife says I get all excited about dirt. In a tablespoon of dirt, there are over 2 million unidentified organisms. I mean, it's like the new frontier, you know.
Trust in the science.
So all of these organisms work together in some sort of relationship, and we don't really even understand because we haven't even identified them yet.
We're too busy destroying it.
Yeah, we don't understand what their relationship is with each other, but they're important because God wouldn't have put them there if they weren't. And so when we begin to step back and we don't disturb those things and we let them take their natural course. Now, I'm not saying that we can't cultivate and we can't manipulate, because that's what we're put here for, is to kind of tend the earth, you know.
But leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, we don't kill things. We try our best not to kill things because everything has a purpose, you know. A lot of times we farmers, we look in the field and we see lamb's quarter. You know, well, let me tell you about lamb's quarter. I have turned cows into a patch of lamb's quarter before, and they will eat that stuff down to the ground. And I mean, there are stumps in that stuff that's similar to corn, and it has so much lignin in it that you almost can't cut it with a pocket knife. They'll leave a stump of corn 2 to 3 foot tall, and they'll eat that lamb's quarter down to the ground.
Fascinating.
Now, the lamb's quarter, if you do a nutrient analysis of the lamb's quarter is actually more nutritious than the corn. One of the most nutritious products you can find. For us, too, we can eat it. Yeah. You know, and so the relationship.
There are medicinal uses for it. I've read them.
The relationships that are there, we don't understand them, and so we don't really know how to not destroy them. But we have to do our best to try to figure that out, because the animals play an important role because they're foragers. You know, they're foragers. What is it that Dr. Novak said today? He said something about, you know, he was talking to somebody and they said, well, we should be foragers. And, you know, the research shows that it takes about 300 acres for one person to live off the land in a foraging capacity. You know, the goats and the cows are natural foragers. That's what God created them to do. They know what to eat. You know, when they have a digestive upset, they know what to eat.
They know to stay away from Promillamint.
When they're getting ready, when they're getting ready to have their baby, they know what to eat. After they've had their baby, they know what to eat, and so their nutrition and their ability to do that is what we can capitalize on when we consume those animals if we leave them untainted. You know, now that's a large order, but you know, when you begin to, you know, I like to tell people I'm barely scratching the surface on making an understanding of animal and plant relationships, but man, it's exciting to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Crop rotation, field and pasture rotation. Right. I mean, these are basic tenets of efficient and effective farming techniques.
Well, to go a little deep into what you were saying right here, and when I say deep, I mean we're going into some hippie stuff right here. But you know, I think there is something to what you were alluding to, that you know, all plant life in this on this planet and all animal life is universally connected. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, like You know, I've heard, you know, I've seen people kind of explain to it how trees are all connected, and you know, you get these PETA animal rights people out here screaming at the top of their lungs, you know, about animal deaths and stuff, and not at the top, because at the top, actually, PETA kills more animals than any other organization in the world. But you know, they scream about, well, you know, I'm a vegan for this. Well, how many animals die for your vegan lifestyle? Because those fields have to be tilled up, and guess what? Tons of snakes and mice and rabbits and sometimes deer all die every single year in those fields.
I mean, you're spraying herbicides, right?
But
that's genocide.
But
if you want to look at it that way.
But to my greater point though, like there are the roots in the ground. There are so many, like, I don't want to say cosmetic or I don't know the correct term to use, but how they're intertwined and connected, but the trees speak, you know what I mean? Like their roots underground, they're connected, and they're doing things for us we can't imagine. Every little plant out there is doing something for us. We take it for granted. We're walking through the forest like, oh, that's pretty, or oh, that's ugly. Everything out there has a purpose for us. Like, we are all connected, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. At the end of the day, we have to connect to earth. You know, I let my kids in the summertime walk around outside in their bare feet. Why? Because it's good for their feet to be on grass. It's natural, you know, like look up at the sun from time to time. You know, a lot of these things they talked about, you know, stop doing were healthy for us. Like that, the sun, as you alluded to, is our source of energy. You know, it's just, there's so much, and I wish I could articulate this better, but I'm like you. It's so fascinating how everything really is connected. We just don't take the deep dive enough to look at how it really is.
We've been addicted to cheap food.
Not just the food, it's just a very spiritual thing.
But that takes away all your spirituality, because you have no spiritual connection to what you're putting in your body, right? And you've just lost complete contact with Mother Nature. And it's that simple. We've lost contact.
Well, until 150 years ago, pretty much everybody took care of themselves. Like, you appreciated it because you hunted that food, and then you had to be the one that skinned it and took it apart, and you had to be the one to put it in salt to preserve it if you need. I mean, it's not like that anymore. Now it's convenience.
Well, I just finished reading George Washington's farming diaries, are part of the published.
Fascinating.
Yeah, we went to Mount Vernon.
Oh, no, we're talking about the George Washington, the redcoat killer himself.
That's right.
Floating to Delaware.
That's right.
To put these holes in their places. Right.
That's right. That's George
GW.
That's George Washington.
The one that they asked to be the king, and he said, we ain't going down that stupid path anymore. Okay, that one.
The one that unseated George III, the lunatic. Yes, the very same.
Just the old redneck who kicked the crown's ass straight back to the island. Continue.
Yes,
please.
the very same.
What did you want to say, honey?
So anyway, in George Washington's farming journals, you know, tobacco was the king. I mean, tobacco, essentially, we could make the
cash crop.
Essential argument that tobacco made America.
Yes, it did.
And I'm not going to argue that one way or the other. But however, George Washington understood on his own farm that raising the same crop year after year was taking its toll. And even though the king and his whatever you call them, his soldiers and such that were here, were trying to get all the farmers to continue to raise tobacco because it was a cash crop, and you know, England was buying it from us, and they were selling it to other countries. And so he recognized the fact that it was detrimental to his soil, and he began to use crop rotations.
Yeah.
And so we, however many years later, 250 years later, we are still held by that same idea that, well, you know, this is what works, and I'm going to keep on doing it. You know, as opposed to the diversity of what we could do by allowing other things to happen.
Well, that's capitalism. Really, is it's counter capitalism if you apply those principles.
It is, but we've come to the point where, you know, Russia and China own the two biggest fertilizer mines in the world, and so in order to fertilize our crops, because we continue to grow the same things, we are essentially building up them, as opposed to what Billy was talking about earlier, which is cultivating the local economy by buying local and spending local, and the local money stays here.
I did something crazy last year. And in between, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a non-GMO corn. That was a bit of a disaster, but it was all about a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
Because in between the couple of rows of non-GMO corn that I put, in between those rows, I put radishes.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually put back in the soil what the corn was taking out. And that's all it took.
Mm-hmm.
And the expense to do that was actually negligible. In fact, it was a lot cheaper than buying fertilizer from the Ukraine. Just saying.
Yeah.
I've been growing corn for several years without any commercial fertilizer. And it's very interesting to figure that out, and it's a learning curve, and it's fun to experiment. I enjoy it.
It was purely an experiment.
I enjoy that sort of thing, but it's not my garden. I'm growing acres and acres of the stuff.
Right.
But back to Billy's point about the trees. So here's an interesting fact that people don't understand, and this is I'm going to just talk about grass. We can apply this to any plant, including trees, but the grass in your yard is used to being mowed. It's used to that injury. It understands that injury. You think grass is an inanimate object. It don't know. It's used to that injury. And so it produces enough root exudates to recover from that injury. Now, if you on a wild hair decide that you're going to piss your neighbors off and you let your grass grow to a foot tall and you turn the chickens in there, that's a different injury. And your grass responds by putting more root exudates in the ground, and your grass becomes a more nutritional product because it's getting more stuff out of the ground because the roots are larger and they're going further places and they're getting other things, and they're building relationships with things that they haven't done before because they have a new injury. And so if you really get crazy and you say, well, next time, for my July 4th mowing, I'm going to let it grow to 1.5 feet and I'm going to put the goats in there. That's a different injury yet. So the roots, again, it's about disruption. So the plants get used to the habit that they have.
What's the common grass that is put? Fescue is one of the more common grasses that gets sown in the fields now, for a pasture grass. And the only problem with fescue is it's a man-made grass. I think is it a Kentucky fescue? I'm not sure.
It has a fungus that will make animals. They don't really get sick off of it, but their performance is not very good.
But it also doesn't clump like certain natural grasses here in Virginia, which has been a massive detriment to the game bird population.
Right.
The grouse, the bobwhites, and so forth. Because it doesn't clump, those game birds, it's destroyed their habitat because they can't get under the clump for protection. So everyone goes, well, the reason we don't have these game birds around here anymore is because the coyote population's exploded, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. The reason those game birds aren't here anymore is because we went from a native grasses, multiple, into a predominantly fescue, because it was a more manageable grass for pasture, not necessarily, because certain fescues actually can damage certain species. I know horses can be a little bit particular with fescue. And some of the fungi that they produce can be a problem. But therein lies a manipulation within our agricultural industry, that we've created something that produces very, very well, and its root basis is cool, but it doesn't clump, so it's nobbled, the game bird population, which is very sad, because I think some of the native game birds that used to be prevalent here just simply aren't here anymore.
That's right.
And that to me that's a crying shame.
Well, it goes to a greater point, and I don't think people, and this is going to be a whole other episode on itself, maybe perhaps after I ask Thad about this, because this is something I really like to do an entire show about, but people aren't really educated or can quite understand, really, once again, how connected to the earth we are. And you go back and you think about Franklin County, just think about our topography here, in Franklin County. We're kind of the end of the Appalachian Mountains, right? We are the far, we're like the far eastern flank of the Appalachians coming down, it cuts down into North Carolina. So, the eastern part or the western part of our county, Ferrum, Callaway, most of that is all mountainous, and it's mountainous for most of it until you get down there. There's just that little corner where the valleys seem to get a little bit wider down there in Pinhook and Glade Hill area, where it's more hilly as opposed to it is to mountainous. The big product down there, as I was talking about earlier, is tobacco. And I always wondered, I was like, why is the forestry so much different in the different parts because you get to that part of the county and you drive down Route 40 and it's nothing but pine trees, right? Nothing but pine trees. And Amos, who's supposed to be here tonight, who, by the way, got a splinter in his eye. That's the message I got. His sister had to remove the splinter from his eye. He said he's been tortured. I'm going to give him a pass on that one, but it's always something with Amos. Tonight was a splinter in his eye, so he couldn't make it here tonight for whatever happened. He said, thank goodness my sister's an RN. But so he's back at the house or whatever. But, I was kind of talking about, and he was explaining to me that, tobacco usurps so much of the nutrients all around it that nothing else can really grow. Like pine trees, the only thing. So that's why you can tell what the tobacco part of the county is because for years and years and years, and you talked about George Washington producing tobacco.
Into North Carolina. As soon as you go into North Carolina, to me, coming from Virginia to North Carolina is very distinct. I can tell when I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah, and the tobacco does that to the land. And then what I'll allude to about the greater episode is the Dust Bowl. Mm-hmm. I bet you probably read up a lot on that. I'd love to have an entire show about that. I guess they just tilled the land so much with the same product over and over that they essentially got to nothing, right?
That's right.
That was something I studied in England, was the Dust Bowl effect in the US and how that over ag caused that problem and the erosion, and you've lost that topsoil for life.
Well, the desertification, that worldwide we're having desertification.
Yep.
And so desertification occurs when the sunshine, we talked about the sun as the source of energy. However, the ground does not like to be naked.
No, it doesn't.
And so when it's naked, in other words, when it has no cover, and you might say, well, my yard's not that way. Well, your yard is cut too short. Most people cut their yard so short that if you went out there with a temperature probe, the temperature in the summertime is going to be around 130 degrees probably. It won't be quite like bare soil, which would be 140 or 150 degrees, but it's going to be 130 degrees. And essentially the microbial life has died because it can't live in those conditions.
So leave your lawn a little bit longer. Maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Lift your deck up a little bit.
But my point is the desertification.
I'm using this to mow less. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to show my wife this and it's like, look, baby, I know it looks bad out here.
The smartest man in the room said,
I'm not
I don't
lazy.
need to cut my lawn down.
I'm not lazy, but Dad told me that this is good.
The George Michael stubble is too short.
Good. Okay, continue, please. I'm going to share this one.
But anyway, the desertification is what has created that. And back to Simon's point about the birds that have disappeared. And so we also create desertification because we overgraze, because we don't understand the grass physiology, the plant physiology enough to allow our animals to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, God created cows, ruminants, for a reason, and it's for our life. It's our health food. Yeah. Really, ruminants, everything that ruminants provide is our health food. And there's a plethora of research on that.
Yeah.
However, it don't come from the universities because the universities are not really interested in it.
Well, they're bought and paid for anyway.
Yeah. But my point is that the fescue comes because of our grazing patterns and our grazing habits. And so we put cows on stuff or horses or whatever, and the only thing we end up with is fescue because we don't allow that grass to rest enough. When,
well, that's greed. That's greed generating that regeneration.
And I don't know the history. I'm sure somebody in the listening audience probably knows the history, but Grassy Hill's called Grassy Hill because the Indians used to burn the grass off of it to make the buffalo come back.
Really?
And now
why would that make them come back?
Well, because the grass would be fresh.
It's fresh, but it's sweeter.
But it would take a couple years. So this is a waiting game. It's not the greed game. It's a waiting game. It's a game of allowing God to do what he does. Now, the Indians, obviously, they, had their own gods that they worshiped, and I'm not knocking on any of that. However, we understand.
But they figured out Mother Nature.
They figured out Mother Nature.
Yep.
And so the truth of the matter is when we begin to allow these grasses to rest, all of that native grass has a seed bank everywhere in Franklin County. And all you got to do is let it express itself. And you let it express itself by you don't mow it.
Yeah.
Tara's
Billy,
gonna love this.
You are golden right now. Just, you know what? Drain the tank because you don't want ethanol fuel left in your lawnmower's tank to start with.
Look, it's not just the wife I'm going after when the town comes by here and
there you go, native. You grow native grasses.
Yes, when the town comes by here and says this is unacceptable,
I'm going
to say first off, I want you to
call
the mayor because he was on our show last week and you can take it up with him. But secondly, look, I'm doing it for the native grasses here, and you can kiss my native grass. Is what I'm telling you.
So you trying to bring back the bugs.
Exactly.
So you can bring back the
Look,
birds.
this is all for environmental purposes.
Yeah.
My wife needs to know it, and the town needs to know it, and my neighbors need to know it as well.
You see what you've done here, Thad?
My apologies.
Good job.
But look, it's imperative. Look, at the end of the day, and hopefully, what I like to do is sometime here in the near future. Do y'all have like 20 extra minutes, 25 minutes? Y'all can stick around. I want to go to an after show here real quick. And talk about a couple of things that it's going to entice a few people to come subscribe to us. But, of course my neighbors up, they'll understand here in the near future while my grass is so high. But I want to have another, at some point in time, if more and more people, we can start, we're on the verge of taking this show on another level. And thank you so much for everybody that's contributed. Yeah, I know y'all two have contributed before. Y'all two, helped us out tremendously when Spike came. And I know you can't, a lot of people, it's tough to see for what it is right in front of you because everybody's wanting something tangible to look at. But I can guarantee everybody that's invested time, effort, and energy into us, seeing returns. There's people going to come back into this town. This show is taking off into crazy places. And I do want to have I want to get to the point here in the very near future, we can have 2 shows a week. Maybe even 3 because I can pay Simon the money to come.
My wife is going to kill you.
But you're going to get money and she's going to like that money because we're on the process. But I want to go.
No, don't. You're not giving me money, Billy.
No, I want
the IRS is listening. For goodness sake. What are you?
Currency then. Currency.
No, not even currency.
Currency.
My goodness.
We'll pay you and we'll pay you.
I mean, this is fundamental understanding here, Billy.
Bartering. We will barter. We will figure out what we have to do.
No, you can't even do that.
I don't care. We're going to figure it out. But like for the ability to bring y'all on more and more often because as of right now, we do about 1 show a week, and sometimes we split them up. So we have about 40 guests a year. I would like to get to the point that we have a couple because there's so many interesting things that I'd like to bring you on more and more often to talk about to get y'all, number one, more immersed in the public. I want more and more public to know what you all were doing to lead you all to you all or people in their area that could do the same because we've said this before. Y'all can't accommodate everybody in Franklin County, but y'all can accommodate enough people to make your time, effort, and energy worth it and everybody else's time, effort, and energy worth it. And with the Dust Bowl and with all these other spiritual deep dives I want to take, you can make these things possible by going to patreon.com/getontap and subscribing for 10 cents a day is the minimum. $3 is the minimum right now. You go there. And we don't even get all of that. We're working right now. We've got a computer whiz down in North Carolina. Amos is putting us in touch with us. Don't even ask me. He's from Callaway. But if he can get our website going and get a subscription service on our website, we're going to do a lot better. We are moving in the right direction. But for the time being, if you go to patreon.com/getontap, you can support us for minimum 10 cents a day. It's $3 a month. You can go up to 5, 10. Some of you get wild with it, go to 20, but it's helping us buy equipment. It's helping us bring people on the show to promote them. Gayle, crazy rumor, but I think the last time we had y'all on the show or the first time we had y'all last year, I think the following Saturday after the release, y'all said you had the second biggest sales day you've ever had. I mean, we're reaching like when you invest into us, we're doing this for each and every one of you. Everybody can benefit down the line one way, shape, or form. So that's why we like this. We want to be able to do more shows. We want to bring that to y'all. You can also do a one-time donation at Venmo or Cash App, both at Get On Tap. and you get the opportunity to invest in us. And if you're a subscriber, then you get the opportunity to come hang out with us at shows sometime. Ask Carter Chitwood. You know, he's been a subscriber, his wife. There's some subscribers we had up there for the Crawford and Power Shindig at the wood shop up there. So you subscribe to us, and we're going to reach out to us. Hey, come hang out up here tonight. Come hang out up here at the Barrel Room with us. Meet our guests. We're all about bringing people together. So, if you subscribe one more time at patreon.com/GetOnTap, we're getting ready to go to an after show right here. It's going to be about 25, 30 minutes long. I want to talk about a couple of things that we didn't get a chance to talk to in the show, and let Gayle and Thad maybe, open up their horizons a little bit. They can get PG-13 with it in here since we're going to the subscribers only. But there's a couple issues I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about Simon. I want to talk about the North Seas for a minute. And I want to talk about a couple of things that are happening with local farmers here and things that we may be able to do as a community to prevent them from happening in the future. So if you're a subscriber, go on to Patreon and check this out. And if you're not, I don't know why you haven't. Get on tap. On X and the Appalachian Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, so we can find us. We got a lot of cool, interesting videos, stuff going on there right now. And whatever app you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple, whatever, give us a review. It really helps. Like, no matter what it is, go in there, leave 5 stars, say Simon's voice is sexy, say I love the mullet, say whatever you want to say. Just, it helps. It really does. It pushes us up in the algorithms, please.
The crazier, the better.
It pushes up in the algorithm. Just a 5-star review. Take 2 seconds and review us, please.
And I will sign off by saying everything that you read in the press currently, question yourselves. Is it an illusion?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, for that, we're going to head on to the after show. We're going to head on to the after show.
Just an illusion.
Real quick, before we get off here, for the people that are listening that refuse to pay, and shame on you all, that where can they find y'all at?
A little bit of everywhere. We're on Facebook at Melvins Farm to Fork Store. It's a private group. Request to join. We'll let you in. And you can find us on our website at Melvins Farm, 2 Fork.com. Just come down and visit us. We're at 1120 Peters Pike Road, Wirtz, Virginia. Stop by the Creamery and Boone's Country Store on your way or when you leave and
make it happen.
And look, if you're from out of town,
you won't regret it.
If you're from out of town and you want to come here, I tell you what, shoot us a message on one of our private, Appalachian Pike, whatever it is, X, Instagram, Facebook. If you want to come here, shoot us a private message. We'll get you a beer up at the Live and Proof Brewery. When you come into town, you can go up there and grab you a beer and then go down to Melvin's Farm to Fork and tell them we sent you. And
you'll be taken very well care of, I can assure you of that.
And the conference, before we get out of here, the conference, one more time.
Yeah. We hope you'll join us for the God-Given Food as Medicine Conference at our place, Friday through Sunday, April 19th through 21st, 2024.
Can we set up the podcast there and talk to some of these people?
Absolutely.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Simon, what about that Saturday? Do you want to go down there and set up and talk to some people?
I'm going to be a strong influence there too.
That could be the week before, and I don't see any reason. I currently do not see a conflict.
Okay.
And I promise to be on my best behavior.
So add that, maybe add that to the list that the Appalachian Podcast will be there talking to people. We're going to be talking to hopefully some of the speakers. Of course, we'll talk to Gayle and Thad again. And maybe we'll talk to some of you just out here wanting to stop by and come on the show and ask questions. Yes. Come on the show.
Engage with all of us.
Yes.
And early bird ticket prices are available through January 31st. So go ahead and get your ticket now for the lowest price possible.
We will remind everybody about this event every show. Simon, remind me to remind. I'm going to put a note down leading up to the event. We're going to talk about it. We want everybody to show up. We're going to promote it. We're going to be hanging out there. Come there. Bring your wallet, because I want the store to sell out that day. I want you to buy up all the lamb. I want you to buy up all the beef, all the bacon, all the eggs, everything. I want Thad and Gayle to be stressing when what are we going to do on Wednesday? We're out.
Don't boil the bacon. Billy loves bacon.
I do. I absolutely will destroy every bit of bacon you bring. So is there going to be food down there, by the way? Is anybody going to be serving stuff, cooking stuff? We're going to have grills?
So actually your ticket prices will cover light breakfast on Friday and Saturday morning. A nice lunch on Friday and Saturday, and then there's another light breakfast and snacks and stuff on Sunday morning. So there's when you go, to the website and you register, you'll also see the opportunity for a VIP dinner. And that's a really cool dinner. It's going to be held somewhere in Rocky Mount. We're not real sure on the exact location for that at this point, but it's basically 65 people. So it's pretty exclusive. You'll have dinner with Thad and I, our family, and all of the speakers will be there. So it's going to be a really special time.
And maybe
you
us.
got cooking good looking.
And maybe us. Maybe you get to come hang out with Simon.
Secret. Oh, the website for tickets is God's G-O-D-S, good G-O-O-D, table, table.com/events.
Get ready to support this, folks. It's going to be a whopper.
We're going to be there. We're going to reach out to some of our local farmers to bring them down there as well to learn a few things and hang out, maybe jump on the show. We're going to make it an event. So keep tabs on us. Melvins Farm to Fork, you can find them on your social media apps as far as we're concerned. Get on tap for X, the Appalachian Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, patreon.com/get on tap for just 10 cents a day, a dime a day. Come support us. We appreciate it. Thank you. Our latest subscriber, Joe Stanley. Never thought I'd say that. Love you, Joe. Appreciate it. He did. He subscribed. Thank you so much.
Bless you, Joe.
Yeah. So, all right. Head over to Patreon for our after show. We're going to bet 20, 25 minutes there. I want a couple of questions for Simon, and I want to ask Thad and Gayle a few other things. See you next time.
Drive around for this morning. She was standing there and I knew that she knew just where I'd been. Trapped in a lie without any warning. Her look said I'd pay for all my sins. Think she'd believe if I told her it's the first time and the last time. The storm outside was mild compared to the look in her eye. We could go back loving one another if she could forget this pack of lies. Things didn't happen according to my plan. I got out to beg and saw her night. No, it was intended for this man. I pulled it on her and took her life. Think they'd believe if I told them it was her night, meant for my life. The storm outside was mild compared to the look in her eye. When they see this dreadful bloody mess, they'll blame it all on my pack of lies. I told him it was her knife, meant for my life. The storm outside was mild compared to the look in her eye. Not much of a life in a barred up cinder block cell. I blame it all